Good afternoon folks, 21st Century Caveman here. Hope everybody's safe, hope everybody's well, and welcome to another video. So we're just coming out of a very hot spell here in the UK, as indeed, it has been in most parts of Europe. It's absolutely chucking it down with rain today. So I'm here in the man cave, and I thought today would be an ideal opportunity to have a chat with you about something which has been on my mind for quite some time now, something which is of great concern to me. Now, I'm talking about knife crime. So I live here in the UK then, I live in the East Midlands, and you know what, not a day goes by where there aren't reports in the local media of people who are being stabbed, they've been murdered, or they're fighting for life and are critically ill in hospital after being attacked by somebody with a knife. So this is becoming endemic in our society now, as I say, not just in this country, but in other countries as well. Now, despite the fact that we are a very liberal society here in the UK, there are also many restrictions placed upon its citizens. So, for example, with regard to knives, we're not allowed to carry knives if they're over a certain size, and there are lots of other restrictions as well, depending on, the type of knife and the features which it possesses. So, we can't actively go out into society tooled up, as it were. Now, even if it's not a legitimate weapon, even if it's an everyday item, if we go out with the intention of using it offensively or indeed defensively to protect ourselves from somebody who, say for example, is wielding a knife, then providing we have the mens rea, that's the legal term for having the mental mindset to use a particular item in a particular way, then we're going to be guilty of a crime. So I think really, as a law-abiding member society, we've got to start waking up. We've got to recognise and acknowledge how dangerous society can be at the moment, and we've got to start thinking about ways in which we can protect ourselves, our loved ones, and indeed other members of society who may be the innocent victims of knife crime. So today, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk to you about the humble chopping board. Let me spin the camera around. So the humble chopping board then, so these are items which can be found in virtually every household up and down the country. They come in a variety of shapes, sizes, measurements, thicknesses, and of course different qualities. So this is part of a set. Look, these are quite nice little ones. I actually bought these off Temu. They're really quite cheap, but they're actually really excellent quality. Let's put them over here. Here's another one which is a lot thicker. Now this was very cheap. I bought it from IKEA many years ago, and today this chopping board resides in the man cave, and I use this when I've got some very heavy cutting or chopping duties in the man cave, and I need something which is far more durable, something which is far more robust than, say for example, one of these cutting mats here. Okay, now these are absolutely cheap as chips. They cost £2. They're currently available to buy, as I say, in IKEA. They're about 10mm thick, and you know what, you can really beat the hell out of these. So this is something which is very durable, and as I say, absolutely dirt cheap. Then of course we have something like this. So this is a bit bigger. Now this is very thin, it's very flexible. In no way is it going to be as hard wearing or as durable as something like these here, but nevertheless it does have certain properties. The main property is the fact that it is resistant to cuts or slashing with a knife, but it's also very flexible, so that in itself does possess some qualities which might be useful. So what am I getting at then? Well, what I'm getting at is quite simply this. Given how readily available these are, and given how cheap they are to buy, we perhaps ought to start thinking about putting these in our bags. So for example, when our kids go to school, perhaps we ought to put something like this in the bag, so if, God forbid, they get attacked by someone with a knife or somebody tries to stab them, this will give them a high degree of protection. I mean, this costs peanuts. It's lightweight, there's no weight to it at all. If that's in a kid's backpack and somebody tries to stab them and they hold the backpack in front of them to protect themselves, that could very well save their life. So here is a standard backpack. This is a, I don't know what, 35 litre, and as per most bags it has a number of sections, doesn't it? So we've got one at the front here, look, you know, which will put a few bits and bobs, and we've got my keys and a few other bits and bobs. You've got the bigger section here in the middle, and you also have a section at the back. Okay, so for example, you're going into town to do some shopping, or you're going on a bike ride or whatever, or you may have a smaller version of this which your kids are taking to school or whatever, then there is absolutely no reason why you couldn't get one of these and just slide it in one of these compartments, which will protect you or your loved ones against an attack with a knife. That will stop a very sharp knife. So why would you not do it? It's lightweight, cheap as chips, and it will stop a knife penetrating. So as I say, you could put it in there, you know, you could put it in the back here, just slip it in there, look, and this will provide a really useful and very effective barrier against a knife attack. So all you've got to do basically, just bang it in there and just hold the bag in front of you like that. That will stop a knife. So you've got that. Now if you wanted something a bit more heavy duty, then you could use something like this. So as I say, £2 from IKEA. Now it's a lot thicker, it's a lot more durable, and this is going to be a very, very effective barrier against a knife attack. But as I say, it's got a bit more weight to it, but then again, that may not be a problem. So you could take something like that, just stick it in your bag, and there you have an absolutely fantastic mechanism for defending yourself against a knife attack. Just hold the bag in front of you and you're good to go. And the thing is, it may be the case that you're, let's say for example, if you're in the town or city and somebody's being attacked, then, you know, even if it's not yourself, you can actually rush to their defence and basically use this to protect that person or yourself, or indeed anybody else. Okay, so it's not a weapon, but it can be used defensively. And as I say, and I'm going to keep saying it, I will stress it, they're absolutely dirt cheap to buy. They're very easily accessible. You may already have you know, a few of these in your house, so why wouldn't you just take that extra step just to stick one in your rucksack, just to protect your kids, yourself, your loved ones, and other innocent members of society from being stabbed to death. So yeah, I mean, look, it's very basic but fiendishly effective. There is absolutely no reason why you shouldn't consider sticking one of these in your bag and to use it as a very effective barrier. Just do it.